Thank you, Marshall. All right, everybody, welcome to the August 21st, 2024 CalPADS Q&A. My name is Paul Higgins. I'm a data analyst working for CSIS, supporting CalPADS. All right, moving on to announcements. Matt, you have everything ready? End of year is done, thank God. And we had a 100% certification rate. This is outstanding. It's just very well done. Everybody worked especially hard, and it just worked out exceptionally well, even with a little bumps there at the end with the cup popping up. Very happy for all of you, and we can now take a brief respite while CalPADS resets, and we start prepping for the rollover, which is, I believe, tentatively scheduled for the 17th of September, at which point everything can, go full flow into October 2nd as Census Day, and we can get going on Fall 1. Yay. But I want to take this time to, again, let you bask in the glory of having got 100% certified for end of year this year. Well done. Let's see. Oh, I know what I wanted to talk about on, what day was it? Excuse me, I apologize for that. This is on Tuesday, yesterday. A notice went out to all LEAs representatives identifying that next week we're going to be making the ODS reports, legacy ODS reports, and moving into a real-time reporting scenario. I'm going to paste the body of that email into the chat box, not the Q&A. All right, so let me put that there. So this is really kind of huge for us in that we won't need the overnight anymore to process the reports. When you put the data in, it should be immediately available. And this is true also for the extracts, the ODS extracts. So I am just very happy for this. This was unexpectedly early. I wasn't expecting it to happen this soon. So all good things come to those who aren't waiting for them, I guess. And for whatever reason, I cannot post the body of that email into the chat box, so I apologize. Does anybody else have any comments for the group for the announcements before we hit the questions?
I've got one, Paul. A reminder went out for the ASVAB. So if your LEA has participation in the ASVAB, please ensure that you are submitting your information by the August 31st deadline.
Thank you, Sean. All right, let's head into the Q&A box here, and Sin looks like she's got her first one at 301 Q1. If a student enrolled for 2 weeks last year and never got a test because they left and re-enrolled this year, do we need to delete the TBD SELA record for last year and replace it with a new one for this year? No, you do not. That TBD SELA record using a non-English or ASL primary language is just a student level attribute that's going to carry forward, and as soon as there's enrollment data for them this year, they'll be picked up by the CalPADS to TOMS/LPAC extract, and they'll be sent over, and they should be added to your test list. All right. Q2 from Yusin, I'll get back to that. Marcy, Q1 at 302. We have a student that will be graduating early this year as an 11th grader. The family wants them to be listed as a 12th grader. However, I know we aren't supposed to just change their grades. Is there a standard process to have them skip the 11th grade and be made a 12th grader with documentation that the school and parents are approving, similar to what we do with students being held back a grade? Not sure how best to proceed with their request. It's my understanding that schools pretty much identify the grade level of their students. I don't know that there's an accepted process, I'm sure there is, I just am unaware of what it is, of how that happens. But for CALPADS, there's no rule saying that they can't become a 12th grader this year. And if there's a mid-year change, you could put them in as a grade 11 on the enrollment for day one and then change them to a grade 12 on second day of enrollment. But I don't know that that would serve any purpose. I guess I'm just saying that it's usually a local decision and you submit it to CALPADS as you have it reported. If you did keep them as an 11th grader, that would not prevent you from exiting them as a graduate completer, the E23100, which is an accepted valid code combination for grade level 11. So you have options. I just don't have a definitive answer from our end as to how to do that. All right, Rebecca 302 Q1. Since ODS reports will update data as it's edited throughout the day in CALPADS, does this mean CDSS will be updated in the same way, or will CDSS only be updated during the nightly, weekly, monthly? Not sure. I believe that let's see here, CDSS.
Talking about direct certification?
Well, that's what I was just about to say. CDSS to me is California Department of Social Services, which is for foster youth or direct cert. I'm not sure which direction we're going there, but I don't think that those are included in the real-time updating stuff.
So she clarified and she said, well, in other words, will foster reports be current?
Those schedules aren't changing for either foster or direct certification.
That's correct. Thank you, Angela. And thanks for the clarification, Rebecca.
All right. Vita at 302 Q1 regarding ODS reports changing from legacy to real-time starting August 27th. Is there any action items needed to be done on our end? No, this will all be done during the maintenance build. So you'll probably be in a screen doing whatever. You'll come back to the home screen and you'll see the new reporting entry in there. When you click on reports after the build is complete, it should be seamless for you.
I would add, Paul, you're right. That's a good answer. Should be seamless to the end user. However, we are retiring some of those ODS reports. So I think the listserv message said which ones we're keeping, but things like class enrollment by content area, several others are going away. And so if for some reason you wanted an ODS version of those reports rather than a snapshot, you could grab those before that transition happens.
Thank you for that, Angela. I hadn't even thought to mention that. All right, I see Sin has a Q3 and a Q4. You're just a question asking machine today. We'll come back to those. Moving on to Teresa 302 Q1. But the data discrepancy is defaulting to 23-24. Will that be updated? Yes, that will be updated. During that year-end rollover, everything will get updated to current year for the default academic years. It will then add all of the new formats, the new codes, everything else that has changed at that time.
I saw Meredith was typing an answer to Meredith. I don't know if you wanted to add something.
Oh, yeah, I just didn't hit send. It was just going to be during the deployment on September 17th.
Thank you, Meredith.
And I'm sure you would have said it better than me. So thank you. Rebecca 304 Q1. Is there any type of trainings that HR credential analysts are required to attend offered by CalSAS or CTC to educate them on the use of the job class codes, non-classroom based job assignment codes, and state course codes?
I don't have an answer for that, Rebecca. That would be up to the credential analyst and if that's required by those agencies. So you want to reach out to those agencies that you named to see if there are requirements, or your credential analyst would want to reach out to them to see what those requirements are. I do know that trainings are offered, but I don't know if they are either required or who all they're offered to specifically. So, but are there trainings for credential analysts? Yes, there are. I don't know if they're at a cost either. So you'd want to reach out to those agencies.
Perfect. Thank you, Sean. All right, Wendy, 304Q1. If a student was exited at the end of the last school year with an E155/E156 because they were expected to return and have decided not to enroll, what is the date we used to report them as a no-show? Well, if they previously attended, then the N470 is not valid, and for the life of me, I can't remember the flash that discussed this. But there's the whole E140. If they don't show up again, you have to do the investigation. You have to process through where they are, if a subsequent enrollment showed up, whatever it is. And if you pre-enrolled them, then you exit it as an E140 as soon as that investigation is complete, which could be as simple as looking in CALPADS to make sure that they have that subsequent enrollment. Yeah, the continuing subsequent enrollment already posted to CALPADS. If you did not pre-enroll them and there is no SENR data for 24-25 in CALPADS yet, you can go back and change that E155, E156 to a T160 and specify the LEAs and or school for the subsequent enrollment.
And Babita found the flash. It's 134, and Rebecca provided the guidance from there, which states everything that you summed up. Oh,
You know, I just feel like I have research assistants. That's awesome. Thanks,
I
guys.
know. It's wonderful.
All right. I do appreciate you finding that information for me. Let's see, where was I? CJ, 306Q1. ASVAB, is that referring to last year's testing?
When you say last year, you're saying 23-24. Yes, CJ, it would be referring to the 23-24 ASVAB.
All righty, perfect. Heather, 307Q1, is there an ETA for the 16.24 to be at a SELPA level?
Meredith, do you know the answer to that?
Yeah, I'm going to be circling back with Brandy because I'm not finding on my list of deliverables. So we'll circle back and see.
Perfect. I'll
Yeah.
leave the question up in the Q&A box if you come back to that. Thanks. Larney, 308Q1. How is credit attempted and credit completed used by CDE? A student who failed a course in semester 1 received 0 credits, then retook the course in second semester, got a passing grade and 5 credits. Is it necessary to report both courses, failed and passing? What is the implication if we only submit the failing course with 0 credits, or if we only submit the passing course with 5 credits? Does the credit completed matter?
I'm pretty sure this one's going to me. Hold, please. Sorry. So should you submit both courses? Yes, because the student took both courses. So yes, you should be submitting both courses. That's the first portion of the answer. Credits completed and credits earned. We don't collect that information. That's on your transcript information. And so what we're collecting, I don't even think we collect credits, right? I'm in the CR. This is why I rely on Alex. Standard. I'm gonna come back to this one, Paul, because I'm looking in the CRSE file.
That works for me.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. Natasha, 310 Q1. Is there a list of which ODS reports are being retired? Well, I have the list of those that are being moved to the real time.
Yeah.
No, I actually don't have a list of those that are being actively retired. Angela, did we have that list somewhere that I could access
I'm going to
rapidly?
defer to Sean on that one.
Thanks,
Okay.
Angela.
Look in the chat.
Because I was going to defer to myself on that one. Paul, any updates will be in the rollover flash for items being added or items being removed. That flash is in progress. We will have that out soon.
Perfect. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
All right, Audrey, 312. Q1, is there any discussion of including the special education personnel data report collections in fall 2 since it's related to staffing? When you say special education personnel data or personnel, beyond teachers and folks that are already reported to CalPADS?
I'll take a stab at this.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Sure. I don't anticipate that being rolled up. It's a completely separate data collection where LEAs basically report the number of FTE they have on census day in any particular category of employee, like resource teacher or a speech language pathologist or something like that. I don't anticipate that rolling into CalPADS Fall 2.
Thank you, Dominic. I appreciate that.
And then, Paul, if I can jump back to,
Please.
I think it was Larnie's question. So, Larnie, yes, for the SC file, the student course section file, yes. So the student credits attempted and the student credits earned, yes, those are both calculated. They are different buckets for those. What that calculation actually affects, that would be within the dashboard guide for specific courses. And so to answer your question, are you reporting those courses? Yes, you are. Whether the student retook the course or not, yes, you are reporting both courses, and you're reporting the credits, whether pass, fail, or credits actually aren't. Or credits
And I
attempted.
always like to think of it as, the L in CalPADS is longitudinal. So we want to know what's happened all along the way, successes and failures both. So skipping that is, skipping what they were doing that semester. So I would just say on a principle-based level, include it because it is a longitudinal record of the student's achievements one way or another.
Yes, and then there's also that student course final grade. So once the student does pass, you definitely, include that information.
All right, we're going to swing back up here. Oh, and yeah, back up to SIN's Q2. I found a student who had English on her home language survey, but when I searched for her in CalPADS, her last SELA record has her as EL. Should we continue to report her with what was in CalPADS? Well, the HLS should only be filled out once. And if the previous LEA had information leading them to get her that initial LPAC where she was identified, I'm assuming a she, her, yeah, okay. That they had enough information to get her into an LPAC test, have her tested, and she was determined to be EL. At this late date, if that EL seems to be right, I would not proceed with an EO, especially on an HLS that was filled out after the fact. It kind of goes against the process. It's the language. If she's speaking perfect English and everybody's wondering why she's in an EL program, sure, pursue that. maybe call it, a mistest, but, look to see if it's legit. And if it's legit, just let it run.
And so this is where I want to remind people that, yes, please ensure that you are using your SSID ODS extracts, because that filter for the filter for SELA, the column for SELA has been added in there. So when you are capturing, if you're ensuring you're capturing that student's SSID correctly, that information is provided to you, to where you shouldn't be asking parents for that information twice for the HLS.
All right. Since Q3, I have staff that want to access county authorizing LEA reports. How can I give them access? Can they access the EOI? They can access the EOI reports, but are not able to see the LEA reports. My understanding was to see the county authorizing LEA reports, you actually had to have a user account with the appropriate roles at the county level. Did we add a new role at the LEA level to see that?
That's the authorizer part. So if they are an authorizer of an LEA, a charter school, they do have a role. It's county authorizer. I'm not quite sure I understand the question, the EOI reports versus LEA reports.
They probably would want to check the charter schools under their authorizing LEA.
Yeah, the sentence that's tripping me up is they can access the EOI reports, but are not able to see the LEA reports. Don't know what that means exactly.
Yeah, they're kind of different nouns.
So if they can get to the county authorizing screen, they should be able to see all of those CA reports. Maybe if a ticket on that one, San, and we'll work a little closer with you.
And Kyron also just posted some information in the chat discussing the security roles for LEA authorizers and County Office of Ed. So that may be helpful as well.
And a lot of times I see it's the NUBA USD. You need to have, if you don't have charters, you want to see what the county sees. You don't have access because you're not at the county. So because I don't see a COE extension, I wonder if that's could be the issue here.
Thanks, Nate. All right, SIN Q4. In regard to Sunbucks, lunch program records that have to be in CalPADS by August 31st, is that deadline by 5 p.m. or midnight?
Excellent job, Matt. Thank you. I'm sorry, I had to note that one. So, Matt, you're right in above additional data extraction dates, that those lines right before it. So, to be eligible for the SEBT benefits, LEAs must receive the NSLP application or the AIF, the alternate income form, on or before August 31st, 2024. That means that you all have to receive it, not CalPADS. Okay, we're not putting a timestamp on there. We have not. If your LEA implements one, that's for your LEA to do so. So please read all flashes for SEBT carefully. Okay, there are 3 flashes pertaining to this information. 284, hold on, I can't name them all. 282 and 269. Okay, it also has what your tasks are for after March 30th, 2024. What all do you need to do from a CalPADS perspective? And then also it has that LCFF information embedded in there as well too. And it also discusses how you should be consulting your own nutrition director at your local LEA for any additional questions. And then it has the NSD email address that you can reach out to if your nutrition director still has questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. All right. Heather, 322 Q2 is the CALPADS Data Guide version 11.0 dated 2/14/20 being updated. Yes. Oh, and it doesn't seem to be updated with the SPED file redesign. Yes, that is in process. I actually was listening to an exchange earlier where they were updating where they are in the process, and it is just in process. It looks like the format as well as the content is being updated. So it's going to be primarily just like the user manual and the other reference materials we have. So hopefully we will see that soon. And
So,
Sue-Ann does not want you to keep taking her constantly asked questions, Heather.
So Heather and Sue-Ann, our answers haven't changed. Yes, they are being updated. The SSID guide is being updated as well. We're all teams are actively working on it.
All right, Rebecca, 322 Q2. Wasn't there discussion about using student degree of support data for fall 2, or maybe I made that up in my head?
So this is Brandy. The degree of support will be applied to fall 2, although you're not going to see degree of support on any fall 2 reports, right? So the degree of support is going to appear on all fall 1 reports related to students with disabilities. But one of the things that you should be aware of is that you're not going to have to certify degree of support in fall 2. It's going to be combined with fall 1 data when sending that information over to the Commission on Teacher Credentialing for those students. So we don't have any plans currently to incorporate the degree of support into any of the fall 2 reports.
Perfect. Thank you, Brandy.
No problem.
Charlene, 330 Q1. A student registered and completed kinder last year and moved on to first grade this year. The student has a date of birth of November 12th, 2018, kinder appropriate this year. Should I flag an alarm? The student is in special ed. I would say if they successfully completed kindergarten and moved on, there's no alarm to be rung right now. If they're struggling, at some point and they're going to be demoted, possibly, but I don't think that there's any, blanket, flag waving that needs to be done at this point. And I welcome to be corrected on that if anybody else sees something wrong with it. A clarification came through. He had to attend summer school. No, so maybe promoting him wasn't the best idea. But again, that's a local decision that the administration there needs to work through as to whether or not promoting him was a bad idea. But if you're seeing his age is kinder appropriate, he had struggled with kindergarten, maybe bring that up to him. Sure.
I mean, and that's a discussion that you have to have with the IEP team, right? If it's a student with disabilities, placement decisions are made by the entire IEP team, including the parent. So, it's the flagging or flag an alarm. It's again, if the parent is having issues with the student struggling in first grade, they should discuss that with the IEP team.
I fully agree with everything that Paul and Brandy have both said. Also, Audrey made a very excellent point. ESY is very different from summer school. So please note that. But more importantly, like Brandy said, go ahead and talk to your administrators, your local administrators, including your SPED director, to see if that student is incorrectly placed or so, because they'll be the ones to be able to tell you what that IEP says.
Perfect, thank you. All right, moving on to Jeremy at 3:30 Q1. Is the valid code combo documentation for academic year 24-25 available anywhere else? Because the link on the page given earlier in the Q&A didn't download anything. Okay, up on the screen, Matt has showed us the system documentation page. And right in the middle there, where it says CALPADS file specifications, those are going to be all of your primary system docs. And the most recent valid code combo is dated 1 March 2024 on there, I believe. So if you go to the CALPADS system documentation page, you should be able to find it. And let's see, Chris, looks like she also posted it there.
Paul, if I may add, that's my fault. There is a broken link to that. I am going to update the user manual. Check back probably in an hour.
Yeah, you're
Wow,
actually
Kai.
ahead of CDE there, Kyran, and I didn't realize you had done that. So I just sent you a note because they did make an update to the code set today.
All
So I
right.
want to make sure you have the latest version. But I think they were getting ready to post it today, right, Sean? But then you found a typo, and so they're correcting that. So it should be going out shortly on this page.
It should go out shortly, but I don't think it should go out today. And
Okay.
okay.
Thanks.
No problem. Thank you. And thanks, Kai, for all your hard work.
And Kai, thanks for stepping up and falling on your own sword in front of us there. You know, that was heartwarming, man. Bavita 3:30 Q2, thank you for the upcoming live trainings, extremely helpful. Are there any SPED specific live trainings coming up for fall 1?
So we haven't announced the roadshow schedule yet.
But we're going to on Monday.
Okay. So yeah, we'll make that announcement. We'll have the links, registration information, and everything that the hosts have shared with us Monday.
Thank you, Dominic and Brandy. All right, Sin 332. I'm sorry I had to step away and did not hear you answer my questions. Oh.
Then had a few.
Yeah, there were like 4. Okay. Let's see here. All right. So I'm going to assume that you heard the first one because you were the first question. So I'm going to start with your Q2. I found a student who had English on her HLS. When she searched for her in CALPADS, her last SELA record was EL. Should we continue to report with what was in CALPADS? That student, that TBD record will carry forward. The TBD record using the non-English and non-ASL primary language will carry forward. And so long as there's enrollment information, they will be included on that extract. So you can just keep moving forward with what's in CALPADS already. Q3, I have staff that want to access CA reports. How can I give them access? They can access the EOI reports, but not able to see the LEA reports. There was some confusion on this. In the chat box, you'll see some links to the security roles and stuff necessary to see those. But there was a question in your use of certain nouns. Specifically, they can access the end of year reports, but are not able to see the LEA reports. So we're not sure on what the distinction between end of year reports and what an LEA report is. So maybe a little clarification on that. Q4, in regard to Sunbucks, do they have to be in by They have to be in by the 31st by 5 or midnight. They need to be collected by the 31st by your close of business. You don't have to have them posted to CALPADS by that time. And up on the screen, Matt is highlighting the flash message that outlined that. And Sean did recommend that flashes 284, 269, and 282 be reviewed for all of the SEBT documentation and processes.
And
Okay,
that leads us into 282 that you might want to keep up.
and Sin on her Q3 is specifying the reports under the county authorizing LEA reports. Okay, so they can't see the fall 1 and fall 2 CA reports, but they can open up the end of year reports. So Kai, was that covered in your links for the security roles?
Yes,
Okay.
it's in the.
Yeah,
And
it's
also, if you look at the specific county report that you want to check, it should specify some additional limitations to access. There's one example I put there for 1.1.
Okay, in the chat box at 3:24, Kyron posted some samples or samples for the documentation, as well as links to the security roles necessary to see those reports. So make sure that all of your users meet the security role guidelines there. All right, back to all of our open questions. Okay, Rocio 333Q1. We are a SEP district and have a question in regards to establishing eligibility. If a student was here during our base year, did not submit additional income form, they did not qualify for the free reduced program, but they are DC. The following year, second year, we are on our third year. Oh, I'm sorry, I put all the emphasis wrong on that. Sorry. So during the base year, they did not submit any additional income form and did not qualify for free and reduced lunch. But the following year, they qualified for Direct CERT. We are on our third year and the student is no longer Direct CERT. Do they still qualify? Can they complete an income form? So I know that DC, the Direct CERT stuff is only good in the academic year that it happened. So it doesn't carry forward necessarily to the following academic year. They need to be qualified in that year as well. So if on the DC match, they're there for 24-25, then they're still Direct CERT. But as to the income forms, I'm not sure about what guidance to offer you on that one. Sean, you were about to say something?
Yeah, plus 282. Can they still submit an alt income form, an AIF? Yes. Collection of the National School Lunch Program applications and alternate income forms throughout the school year. It has it listed there for you, Rocio. That information is there. It'll also tell you how it counts or how it does not count as well too, and then the different dates there.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
But Sean, does that apply to the community eligibility provision?
For CEP schools, yes, it does. Brandy.
No, I'm saying her question seems to be about eligibility for CEP.
But we're answering, yeah, so. Okay, so my understanding, Brandy, is that when she asked about it for Direct CERT though, but she was asking for CEP for Direct CERT. And then the student doesn't qualify for the Direct CERT for the prior school years. And
For the
then,
base year.
yeah,
so essentially,
for this year, she's saying the last portion of the question is what I was referring to.
Can she collect an alternative income information form for that student? Is that
this school year? Yes.
Okay. Okay.
If you see differently, let us know.
All right. All right, Audrey at 3:34. This was the link, and Sue-Ann is saying, "Thank you, Audrey. The one file link is broken. CALPADS valid code combos." So, not sure. Oh, it takes us to reference documents in the user manual. So, okay, there you go. Thank you for that. I wasn't sure exactly what we're talking about there. All right, Larney, 337 Q2. Follow up to Rebecca's question on degree of support. It would be a challenge, the separation, although we don't have any incorporated report on the degree of support versus the teacher assigned to our students with disabilities. We have to make sure of what we are submitting in fall 1 is aligned to the teacher that we will be reporting in fall 2. Will we then get exceptions if they are not after we certify our fall 2?
Okay, so what you're asking is if I don't have the degree of support listed in the fall 2 information, how do I know whether or not it's going to generate exceptions? That's and bottom line, folks, is that CalPADS is not really going to show you that. You can identify the degree of support for a student, and really not until you compare that with the teacher's credential and authorizations will you know whether or not it's going to generate an exception, right? So we don't have any early warning system in CalPADS that's going to show you that. Essentially, what you want to do is make sure you know the teachers that are providing instruction in a special education setting, which is on report staff teaching assignment detail 4.3. Any course assignment with a instructional strategy of 700, you're going to need to understand the students that are enrolled within that class. And separately in report 16.14 that you certified in fall 1, you can look up the individual student degree of support. Those two pieces of information will tell you the teacher, it'll tell you the student's degree of support, but not until you actually that gets run through CalSAS and you understand whether or not the teacher's credential and authorizations align, are you going to know whether you're going to generate exception. And by the way, one of the things I wanted to remind everybody about is that CTC is actually not going to be using degree of support in CalPADS until it's fully populated, until we actually require that piece of data. We're not going to require it in CalPADS until fall of 2025. So you've got a whole year to populate this data.
All right. Thank you, Brandy. Okay, Sue-Ann at 339 Q1. The one new file does not have the same name as posted name. Website name, CalPADS file specification, forms. Downloaded file name is forms v16.0. Okay. Oops. Give me a minute, I'm getting back over there. All right, Kai, make sure to, if you could you change the downloaded file name to match the website name on the user manual?
Yes,
Links?
that's what. Yep.
Perfect,
I'm
thank you.
just trying to get the updated code set too.
You're the best. All right, we have run out of questions.
On the answer tab, Meredith did respond to Heather's question about the 16.24. So it's a ways out. It sounds like there's a change request that's been added, but so that's got to get vetted and go through that process. So we don't have an ETA on that report.
Paul, can you go back to it was a CEP question that was last asked. I don't recall who asked him.
Paul, it looks like you may have lost audio.
I think he's trying to find his cord. Look, it disappeared too.
So it's at 333 on the answer tab.
Okay. 333.
I found it, Sean. I could say it for you all while Paul's getting situated here. A Q1 from Rocio. We are a CEP district.
Check.
There we
he is.
are.
Good,
Paul's
Paul.
back.
I can hear you now, Paul.
Ah, thank God. Sorry about that. I was trying to hold a note up to say audio failed.
I saw you miming something, so I figured something had gone catastrophically wrong with there. I'm going to let Matt finish reading. We're rereading Rocio's question.
All right. So Q1, we are a SEP district and have a question in regards to establishing eligibility. If a student was here during our base year and did not submit an additional income form, they did not qualify for free and reduced program, but they are direct certification the following year, the second year. We are on our third year and the student is no longer a direct cert. Do they still qualify? Can they complete an income form?
Okay, thank you. And thank you, Brandy. So I read this question wrong. So the key portion in here is that you have a question in regards to establishing eligibility, not just for a summer EBT. So thanks, Brandy, for noting that portion of the question. So for this question specifically, because I don't want to confuse anyone, Rocio, I'm going to direct you to your nutrition services director. This is a conversation that needs to be had internally and locally for who qualifies for your CEP programs. Also, for this question though, too, your nutrition director should be reviewing the nutrition, the post-it letter from the CDE Nutrition Services Department for whether or not they can complete an income form regarding summer EBT. So I hope that clarifies that for you. And so, because my answer was just based on summer EBT.
Yeah, and I mean, I can tell you that for CEP eligibility, what they're looking for is students that are direct certified in the base year. That's how you establish your CEP reimbursement percentage, right? And so if you have high enough of a percentage, then you qualify for the community eligibility provision. But they're looking at students who are directly certified. If a student is directly certified in the second year, that's not your base year. So that student cannot count towards your reimbursement percentage for CEP. When you rebase, and whether or not you can rebase sooner than 4 years, that's probably something that's not a question that I think I can answer, but I can tell you unequivocally, it's based on whether or not they're directly certified or they're categorically eligible because they're foster, migrant, homeless in that base year.
And I think
Brandy, what Brandy just added, and I did answer into your question, Rocio. It's on the answered portion of the tab, and then I will gladly, it's in Flash 269, and then I'll gladly bounce it over to Nate. Sorry, Nate.
no, it's all right. I was just going to suggest a quick history lesson. The purpose of the alternate income forms was specifically for the CEP and provision schools, because you have this base year that has set eligibility for your students. For LCFF purposes, you have to identify the student. So while it may not affect your CEP unless you choose to rebase, the alternative income form is still necessary because you want to identify your students for LCFF. So if that's not a practice, if you're just relying on the CEP numbers every year, you want to see if you could add students, if for no other reason, to increase the LCFF counts.
All right, thanks, Nate. Thanks, guys. Moving on, but still in the vein of alternative income forms, Mo at 348 Q1 regarding alternative income forms for 24-25 school year. Will we continue to have until the end of October to submit data for the 24-25 school year?
That's not a CalPADS question, so I'm going to refer that over to our nutrition services department. I haven't received any information of anything stating differently. But again, it's not a CalPADS question, so I'm not able to support with that answer.
Well, if Mo, you're referring to the date, the cutoff date that we have for FRPM data, then yes, that will continue through October. You have through October all the direct cert in October and all the FRPM records in October will be included on census day for fall 1. As to, the alt income form, yeah, that's for your nutrition services folks. Yesenia Q1 at 349, are LEAs required to report adult education data, enrollment, courses, attendance, and such? Now, there's been a lot, or not a lot, there have been a few questions lately about adult education question about adult education, and they're actually referring to special ed adults in transitional services. So adults in transitional services, yes. Adult education, which is a completely separate basket, is generally not reported to CalPADS.
I'm gonna let Brandy or Dominic speak though for the, I don't want to mess this up, around grade 12 and reporting students for transition services.
Sure. So I do see Yesenia also added not ATP, referring to true adult education at 355.
Oh,
but
there it is. Yeah.
Just to stay on topic, for adult students with disabilities who have not received a standard high school diploma, they can enroll after 12th grade for either pursuit of that diploma or the alternate pathway diploma, or just to continue receiving transition services. There's an indicator in the SCNR that you can use to delineate whether the student is returning for transition services or if they're continuing to pursue a diploma or certificate.
All right, thanks, Dominic. Moving down to 349, Lori Q1. Will student degree of support be submitted with SPED data or will be added as a field to the existing fall 2 files?
It's going to be submitted with special education data. It's going to be on report 16.14, which is your student list for SPED. It is not going to be added at this time to any of the fall 2 reports.
Alrighty. Claudia, 353 Q1, just for LCFF, can you rebase or do we have to complete the 4 years before rebasing?
I think you establish your own LCFF base year. So if you want to rebase, if it's beneficial to you to rebase because your count of free and reduced price eligible students has gone up, then that's a local decision. But I don't think there's any limitation. It's just if you would have to rebase in order to use the current year counts.
All right, thank you, Brandy. 7, if the student exits with an enrolled in adult education exit code, do those students count as a dropout for the last reporting high school? I don't believe they do. I believe that they count as, well, I know for the cohort, they count as other transfer. So they're not considered a completer, but they are not identified as a dropout. They're in that in-betweener state. Obviously, they're not reported as completers, and they're not included on any of the dropout reports, as I recall. Is that true, Sean?
That's my understanding. The place for this one though is gonna be the dashboard, not the dashboard, the technical guide.
Hmm.
Normally I have that one handy. Oh, please. No, right here. And oh, well, not cut. Oh, well, maybe so. Type answer. Maybe type answer. Sorry. Fun times over here with the mouse. I slid it into, oh, it cleared your question. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it did. What's up with
What?
that?
But I put in an answer. So, I forget when I hit the button, it goes over there.
All right, I see it in there though.
But Matt was showing it on screen though too.
Okay,
Sorry.
let's see if we can't.
And so the CCI calculation. Yeah. There. And the graduate rate, sorry. That's where I don't even remember who asked the question. I'm sorry. But this is where you want to go.
All right, thank you much. Back to the open questions. Ethan, 357 Q1. Trying to make sure I understood the CEP questions. If a student is not enrolled in a base year, but enrolls in year 2 and is directly certified in year 2, does not fill out an alternative income form, but then in year 3, they are no longer direct certified. Can we have them fill in the alternative income form at that point in year 3, even though it's not their first year of enrollment? Or does the fact that they were DC in the prior year automatically qualify them as eligible in all subsequent years until the next base year?
So the first thing, Ethan, is that we're conflating two different things here. Okay. So how do what do I use to determine community eligibility provision eligibility? Okay. That's one question. And that was the original question that was asked. Okay. So if a student did not qualify for free and reduced price meals, specifically, they weren't directly certified in the base year, that student does not count towards the CEP eligibility. However, in subsequent years, you may collect alternative income information forms for students who may be eligible for LCFF reporting purposes only, okay? Because you want to report that the student is eligible for free and reduced price meals. Typically, though, that's only for new incoming students. So your scenario is kid wasn't enrolled in the base year. They come in the second year. Can I use an alternative income information form to report to CALPADS? And the answer is yes, right? But if the student was in there the base year and was not eligible in the base year, that status carries over until the next CEP base year. Okay, so there's two things for those schools. There's a CEP base year, there's an LCFF base year. Oftentimes they're the same, but they can be different. Okay, so I just want to make sure the response that I gave was directly related to whether or not a student could be counted towards CEP eligibility.
Thank you, Brandy. And then I'm going to slide this one into the chat because I don't want the question to move. So for LCFF frequently asked questions, that FAQ, I just slid into the chat. So if you're unsure regarding LCFF, please go ahead and review that FAQ. It's extensive, just as CALPADS. But again, yeah, just review.
There's a direct link. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, to the
Oh,
SEP schools.
thanks.
I've had to read it several times and I still, struggle with it
Yes.
sometimes.
Yes. And again, like Brandy said, it's a matter of the terms. It really is.
All right, we have passed the hour. I have one question left. If you need to drop off, totally respect that. Thank you for being here this week. Last question from Larney, 359 Q3. I know there was a flash communication on reporting meet records for students with disabilities who have an IEP meeting held in the summer. I think, can I get that flash number?
Oh my gosh, Dominic, do you remember the flash number?
Where's Joe?
Where's Joe when you need him?
I don't remember the number.
We're scanning.
Is
I
it the one that
cannot
Meredith
remember.
found earlier?
I wonder if it's flash 207. It doesn't specify summer, but it says meetings being held, plans and services.
So I'm now that I'm recalling, I'm not sure that this was in a flash. I believe that Dominic has a slide from the SPED office hours that addresses this. So how do you report students that have meetings held during the summertime before they're actually enrolled? So Larney, if you just want to
I dropped the link to the box site for
there we
the
go.
office hours in the chat.
There you go. Thanks.
And I know we're over time, but Matt, do you happen to have CalPads up? I found a trick for Yesenia on her adult ed question. If you go to reports, snapshot reports, and 1.0a, and I chose Poway because this is a big district and I'm pretty sure they have an adult school. Uh-oh. It should remember you. Can you select from that drop down when it pops up? It's at ficmat.org is your username. See, if you right click on that. There you go. So Poway, and then I chose school type adult education centers. Oh, I don't think I've seen that one before, or not in a long time.
Trying, Angela.
I know, what's going on?
I feel like I'm
Yeah.
running the show.
I think this is going to keep happening.
It's got some Dom energy here.
But if you want to go through the instructions while I can have at least the filters up.
Yeah, so when you run that, Poway Adult School comes up, and for each submission, it gives you a column of whether the data is expected, and that's a yes. There'll be a Y in the column, whether it's permitted, which is a P in that column, or whether you should not report it at all. So like
It looks like there's an ABC adult school right there. You select that.
Yeah. That one wasn't a good example though.
Oh,
I'd rather not do that one. So for Poway, Fall 1 enrollment is permitted, but it's not required. Fall 1 SPED data is required. Fall 2 course data is not expected. Staff is not expected. Post-secondary, et cetera, et cetera. So just a sanity check for you, Yesenia.
I apologize for the performance of my computer here, Angela.
It's hard
Probably
to get a
'cause you're
nice
in your-
PC in a race car.
Yeah.
That part.
I've been
Yeah, you
loving
shouldn't
this. The
you shouldn't be
commentary on the
operating in-
driving background.
Yeah, you shouldn't even be navigating a computer while driving. What's up with that? Come on.
The only thing I'm driving today is the Q&A, guys.
All right,
I just thought I'd be, along with have a background for the role for my first time.
Did a good job, Matt. You
Very
were well
well done.
prepared.
Very well done. All right, we have gone 8 minutes over. I appreciate your patience. Have a great week. Thank you for all your hard work during end of year. You all did an excellent job there. I know everybody that is just singing your praises right now. So well done. Thank you. We'll talk to you next week. If you need anything between now and then, please open up CalPADS Service Desk ticket and we will get back to you as soon as we can. Have a great week.